Hey man, welcome back to another edition of Everything Football 62. I'm your host, Jonathan Big Tex Johnson, aka Uncle Tex, aka Professor Tex. Before we get started, like I tell you guys all the time, smash that like button, share, subscribe to the page. Got any questions or concerns? Give them to me. Let me go from there. Let's go ahead and knock was that week 10 out the way. Your boy went 9-5 for the second week in a row. Could have won probably one more, two more actually. Could have probably went right at I don't know, 12-2 possibly, but things happen. I say 12, I say 12-2. I say, well, at least I could have one I should have picked, but I didn't, and that was actually a Denver and Buffalo. But let's get it started though. Carolina, Chicago called that one 16-13 and whatnot. Look like they got some new life for that other new quarterback back there. I think not. Again, when you don't see these young quarterbacks, you don't know what they're doing. They just out there playing around and stuff like that. But once these people get a beat on them, we'll see what happens. But they did win. I picked it because Carolina, probably the worst team in football right now, being that they had to pick first, and they got a lot of work to do. Indianapolis and New England watched this game. Wasn't that? Yeah, it was anticlimactic for the most part. Really wasn't a defensive game for the most part and whatnot. Indianapolis won. Mac Jones looked horrible. Belichick, for the first time I've ever seen, pretty much looked just disheveled and everything, and his whole coaching thing was going on and stuff like that. Mac Jones is probably done. This guy was reading some information and whatnot. 80-20 in the locker room. I think dude's word is a dude's a bit of a douchebag. I don't know how true that is, but I could tell after he was get interviewed and whatnot after the game, you could tell he got benched in the fourth quarter with just a few minutes left, and he had a chance. You can't throw an interception like that. You just can't do that. You cannot do that in pro football and expect to keep your job, especially since you went to a Pro Bowl the year before or a year before that and whatnot. And you thought, okay, well, we're going to have something. We're not going to have Brady, but we should have a quarterback that eke us out 10 or 11 wins and whatnot here and there and whatnot. But, yeah. And I picked that one. Houston and Cincy. I think I picked this one. Houston, Cincinnati. Like I said, Cincinnati, you don't know who you're going to get and whatnot. Trying to get that crown, obviously, always to Joe Burrow. C.J. Stroud ended up doing it. Even after two fumbles, he came back, balled his ass out for the second week in a row. This kid is what is thrown, what is he? Right at 16 touchdowns or something like that. He's got like 16 touchdowns for I don't know, what is he got? Let's look it up. Yeah, we got time. And I like looking up these young cats and whatnot, and him balling and doing something. D'Amico Ryans has been doing a great job over there and whatnot. But you looking at somebody that went in Cincy, 23 for 39, 356, one touchdown. He fumbled the ball a couple of times. Let me see. And he brought them back and whatnot, and they end up winning the game. I mean, it's like, what else you want him to do? And the kid, like, he has a lot of poise with the young man, which is really good to sit up there and see and whatnot. And stung Cincinnati. And that's going to be a big game between Cincinnati and Baltimore, both of them coming off of losses. New Orleans and Minnesota, Josh Dobbs at it again. New Orleans had a chance to go ahead and ice this game, didn't. Josh Dobbs playing solid football. He's basically played solid football all year. I really hope he gets an opportunity to start at the ball club somewhere next year, but he still may have a chance to do some things for this year. We'll see what happens and whatnot. But he's brought some energy and whatnot, and he's brought. He was a solid quarterback at Tennessee. Wasn't going to really be given the chance when Ben Roethlisberger was there when he's in Pittsburgh and whatnot. I think he went to Cleveland, went to a couple of different spots. So good to see him balling out. Picked on that one. Green Bay and Pittsburgh. Got Pittsburgh and whatnot going on there. Pittsburgh, that's like I said, Pittsburgh. I think Pittsburgh is 6-3. Ugly 6-3, but they 6-3. Not a lot of them, the quarterback there. He'll make a play when he needs to make a play. A couple of things went on there that the lateral, that was definitely a lateral that was picked up and guys took it back, but they said it wasn't. But those are the breaks as football. You don't let the refs dictate the game for you. I learned that way back in junior high. I'm sorry, not junior high. Way back in high school, we learned that as freshmen, you don't let refs dictate the game. You play the game out and whatnot and stuff like that. So Pittsburgh still doing that thing. Jordan Love looked pretty good. Pickett or whatever looked okay or whatever. Like, he's up and down, but he may be something. But we'll see. Tennessee and Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay, Baker Mayfield, solid game and whatnot. Picked that one and whatnot. Tampa Bay won that one. Probably the weakest division in football, weakest conference in football, I should say. Uh, uh, with them in the South. So it's chances for them to do a lot of things and whatnot. We'll see what goes on with them. San Francisco, Jacksonville. I expected more from Jacksonville. I expected way more. I actually picked Jacksonville. I expected more from them because they're riding now. Doug Marrone got them over there. They got talent over there and whatnot. I honestly just don't. They don't realize that San Francisco was like a trapped rat in a corner, and they were going to do whatever it took to make it happen. They could not have lost 4 straight. They lost 4 straight. That season would have been over with. I saw what was a little trashy even after the game was pretty much out. They was trying to get McCaffrey to get that 18 games so he could break that record. That didn't happen. A lot of people took exception to that because if he got hurt, because he's prone to getting hurt, all just trying to get him in there, and it didn't happen. So we're going to see how that little scenario ends up playing out later on. We'll see. Cleveland and Baltimore. This game, dude, it was 31-17. This is over. Took a ride down to where I purchased my cigars and whatnot. I go over there. It's 30. Like I said, it was 31-17. Okay, bet. I'm like, this game is over with. By the time I get home and stuff like that, I say, what has happened? What happened? And it just didn't go right between, I think, messed up punt or something. I forget what it was. Lamar throws a pick 6, which was one of them balls batted up in there. When it's batted up in there at the line of scrimmage, you already know that's disaster. That's nothing but disaster. They have to finish games off like this. There are at least 2 games Baltimore had where their losses has been, they could easily be 10-0. The games they pretty much led going into the fourth quarter, and they have a tendency to let off the gas. And their defense did not play exceptionally well that game. Deshaun Watson balled out pretty good. Hate to see that my man just went down with that shoulder. I thought it had something to do with his ankle. He has a broken bone in his shoulder. And that man sit up there and gutted it out, and people are still watching his pockets and whatnot. You better watch it. That team went 5-1. They are 6-3. He's responsible for 5 wins. He's responsible for 5 wins and responsible for 1 loss. So y'all talk that shit all y'all want. That guy's a winner. It's just been the breaks for him with these injuries and whatnot, but that's a part of the quarterback. It's part of the position. That's what comes along with it. And that's another reason why you get the money you get. You got to get compensated because you can get the shit knocked out of you. Atlanta and Arizona. I think I picked Arizona on that. The return of Kyler Murray looked good. Looked like he hadn't left. Some hell of a scrambling ability. It was good to see him back on the field and get a chance to get a W and whatnot, because a lot of people doing him the same way they're doing Deshaun Watson and whatnot. It's funny how some of these quarterbacks, how a lot of them have hit rough spaces and come back and do the things that they're supposed to do, and that type of quarterback, if you're on sorry teams or if you're on sorry organizations and stuff like that, sometimes it don't work a certain kind of way, but that does not mean, that doesn't diminish from the playmaking ability of these different quarterbacks. And Kyler Murray is one of them. I'd like to really see him full season with some real help, some real wide receivers, some real coaching and whatnot, and let him do what he does best and play ball. Detroit and L.A. I picked Detroit on this one here, and like I said, it was like a little gun battle going on there. I saw some of the highlights of it back on Sunday. I've seen some of the highlights and everything. We take a look at the stats. Goff's having a good year. Had a good year. Herbert, good 4 touchdowns, the whole 9 yards and stuff like that. Interception and whatnot. Like I said, you don't know who you're going to get when you're dealing with the Chargers and whatnot. Chargers, I'm telling you, they are a picture image of Cincinnati. The only difference is the Bengals have better coaching. That's just my take on it. They have better coaching. They have the same type of players, the same type of everything. They are identical. It's just that they have better coaching and whatnot. New York and Dallas. Look, man, I don't even have to say nothing about this. I ain't gonna even talk about that. We already know what happened. We already know what CD's doing. We already know what Dak doing. These guys play this game. These guys play the way they're capable of playing. They can win out. And you heard it here. They can win out if they play the way that they're capable of playing. Beat the team you're supposed to beat, and be competitive against the team that you have to be competitive to beat them. And they have enough talent and enough coaching to do that in this league, and to do that and to go and make a deep playoff run. Washington, Seattle, call Seattle and whatnot. Again, unfortunate for Commanders and whatnot, Sam Howell and everything like that. Geno came back, played some good ball. 29-26. Seattle still hanging around up in there and everything, doing what Seattle does. And right now, the standings with them out of the West, they are 6-3. They're 6-3 with the Niners and whatnot, and all that. And then Denver and Buffalo. Russell Wilson. What can I say? Josh Allen again. Now you had Ken Dorsey, who got his ass fired right after the game. Literally, he got fired Monday, if I'm not mistaken. Fired. And Josh Allen turned the ball over 3 times. And this is what I'm talking about. You don't hear, he's at 11 interceptions already. All of the different turnovers, he probably have about 15 turnovers. Right? When Dak got up to 8 or 9 last year, they was calling for his fucking head. This guy's at 11 because, like I told you, last year was supposed to be that year that they were supposed to turn the corner and make the Super Bowl after that big game. So, okay, they're going to do this, they're going to do that. Okay, well, now you got Diggs' brother from Trevon telling Stephon he need to get in 14, got to go. And all that. So it's looking bad over there. Like I told y'all, go back what I said last week. And Cook ran the ball good. Even he fumbled the ball, but they have players that they're coaching and whatever. I can't say, it's hard to sit up there and put that on Dorsey when these guys are out there, they're in the position. Now, your defense got to set up and make a play. And guys talking about, oh man, that pass interference. I'm like, if Russell Wilson throws that ball the way he was supposed to throw that ball, that was 6 points and they were done anyway. So it just added to the suspense. But Russell Wilson looked good. He threw a ball that was absolutely ridiculous. That touchdown that he threw, I think, to Sutton. I mean, you can't get any better than that. That's vintage Russell Wilson. And it's there. But players, everybody got to buy in, man. And I don't think he was that healthy last year. And the team just wasn't very good last year. And they could have won about 8 or 9 games last year. And who knows what may happen. I mean, they have an opportunity. They have an opportunity. And it's good to see Russell Wilson playing ball because people want to throw dirt on a Hall of Fame career and whatnot. So let me just get ready for these picks for week 11. I'm taking Baltimore with Cincinnati to add some more salt to Cincinnati's whatchamacallit, because they're going to start doing some bickering there. And Baltimore has to get it done. Baltimore, I think Lamar missed some throws. He missed some throws. They got a running game. They got the defense. Everybody, if they come to play the way they're supposed to play, they will beat Cincinnati. Dallas, Carolina, another layup. But they got to go in there and beat the brakes off these motherfuckers. Beat the brakes off of them. Pittsburgh and Cleveland. I'm taking Pitt. Cleveland, unfortunate for them, you lost one of the best running backs in the league. You lost a star quarterback who was getting his groove together and stuff like that and gave you a come from behind win off it being 18 points down. Now he's out, shoulders out and whatnot. I don't see, they're not going to be able to overcome that. I don't see that happening. Chicago and Detroit going to take care of business with that one. LA Chargers and Green Bay. I'm going to take Green Bay. I keep saying that I'm going to take Green Bay over the LA Chargers simply because I think the time is run out on the coaching over there at the Chargers, and I just think this is just going to be doom and gloom for them. And Green Bay still has an opportunity to try to make a little noise. Arizona and Houston, this should be a good game and whatnot. Right now, Houston is playing just as good as as a lot of teams that be playing, especially a young team and whatnot. Shootout between two basically young quarterback. One kid is from Texas over there and whatnot. Murray might show out and everything. We'll see what happens and whatnot, but I'm giving Houston the nod because they're just kind of hot right now. Tennessee and Jacksonville. Jacksonville's going to jump back and beat the brakes off of Tennessee. Las Vegas and Miami. Las Vegas and Miami. Hey, man, I see Miami bouncing back. New York and Washington, I'm giving that to Washington. Tampa Bay and San Francisco. As much as I hate to, I'm going to go with San Francisco, even though it can go either way, I think, if Tampa Bay really comes to play ball. But I'm going to get it to San Francisco. Jets and Buffalo. But we'll give it to Buffalo just because. LA and Seattle. I don't know if old boy's coming back. I think he's coming back, Stafford. But if Seattle want to stake a claim and get it going, they're going to have to beat LA, and I think they beat LA. Miami and Minnesota and Denver, I see this carrying over. I see Denver making a push against Minnesota. I see Denver making a push. Philadelphia, Kansas City. And I'm going to go take back the Super Bowl. I'm going to take Kansas City. I'm going to take Kansas City. All right. Look here, man. Before I wrap this thing up, all this talk about CeeDee Lamb, this CeeDee Lamb, that or whatever. But let me do this before we do this. I saw an interesting stat with somebody put here on Twitter, and they said coaching matters. And look at the almost identical to what these guys have probably done in their first 5 or 6 years in the league and whatnot. Now, by year 6 of starting, he had won a Super Bowl. Impressive numbers all across the board. Favre got more picks. Now, Allen runs the ball a lot more and whatnot, but the coaching nod is going to always go to the side of Green Bay and whatnot. Josh Allen has to protect the football. I can't, and this is what they're saying, a lot of accountability. They don't really get on him like that, but I think old boy said something. The coach was supposed to have said something about him. I don't know. I'm going to have to look it up and check it out. But one of the things I wanted to talk about real quick is about this whole talk about the top wide receiver. I might have talked about it a little bit last week. CeeDee Lamb is playing lights out. And for people to keep trying to sit up there and say he is not a receiver, just a slot, he just said he's a wide receiver. Look at his numbers, like I told you guys last week. Look at his numbers. Now he's at 975. He's getting ready to go into the 9th game, 975 yards. He's caught over 10 balls in the last 3 games for over 150 yards. If that doesn't say top 3, top 5, whatever, he's already top 5 because he's all-pro second team last year. Has a chance to be all-pro first team this year. I don't care about Pro Bowls because the Pro Bowl does not matter. They play dodgeball there. They play flag football. That is garbage now. It's BS. But to say that CeeDee Lamb is not one of the top dogs in the league because of your hate for Dallas, well, that's all that is a bunch of freaking hate. You go back to that. We go back to just like dealing around with Russell Wilson and what Russell Wilson has done. Came back, old self, rallying against the Bills. I'm like, this man has put up, and we look at his numbers real fast and whatnot. And it's like, what else do you really want this cat to do? He can't play. He doesn't play defense and whatnot. So you're looking at somebody who did what? 24, 29, 193, 2 touchdowns, didn't turn the ball over. I think he did get sacked, but when you throw the ball that much, the percentage of getting sacked, when you're throwing the ball almost even when you over 30 to 40 times a game and you come and all you're doing is dropping back, that's going to happen. Buffalo should have won that game, but they didn't. Denver was solid on defense, and Russell Wilson did what Russell Wilson always has done and whatnot. Who's always been that he's going to play you all the way into the last till it's all over, said and done with. And kudos to him because people want to try to write him off for whatever reason. Oh, he's had this season, that season. When the players played down or whatever, just because he started asking for a little bit more say so on the offense for Seattle, and all of a sudden he starts being this bad guy. So that just shows you how shitty football can be at times, and some of the different things that they say and they'll do, and they'll make certain statements and say certain things, which is absolutely ridiculous and whatnot. But that's unfortunately, but that's what they do. It's unfortunate Deshaun Watson is going to be out for the rest of the year. I was looking forward to seeing him play even more to show the naysayers, but still, they're still up in his pocket and whatnot. And this man has a broken bone in his goddamn shoulder, and they told him he cannot play. They would not because he was just wanting to get shot up and say, I'm going to still play and whatnot. And he still was wanting to play ball and whatnot. But when you start talking about this young man right here, y'all better recognize it. This man has an opportunity, still extremely young in his career, extremely young man, to be the best wide receiver to ever come through Dallas. bar none. Give him and Dak another 5 years together, and they play at this high level. He'll been a bust every record there, and we go down as one of the finest receivers that ever played for the Cowboys, and probably one of the top receivers that ever played in the game and whatnot. So people better recognize this and stop all that damn Dallas hate. Be a football fan. You can be a homer and have your team and whatnot, but be a football fan, man. Please be a football fan and whatnot, and stop getting on these hate trains and whatnot when it comes to a lot of these doggone players and whatnot. When it comes to a lot of players, respect the game, love the game, and give respect to a person that's playing the game that only a few is able to play. And these guys playing it at a high level. I don't hate no player just because he plays on another team. I give him his respect. Now, when you start sitting up there trying to give him too much and he hasn't really earned that, that's why I have a problem at. I talk about Christian McCaffrey quite a bit. And I've talked about Kirk Cousins quite a bit. I've talked about several different players. I said, but I'm like, guys are really good players. But don't be trying to give them more than what they really deserve, because they haven't really done anything as of yet. Okay? But I tell you guys all the time, there is no GOAT, there's no greatest of all time as long as time's still going on. And like I told you guys before, numbers don't lie and get emotional. People do. You guys have a good one. I'm going to be back a little bit later on this week and hit up with another nice show. You guys have a good one.